Tonight, the province announces a new breast health centre and expands breast cancer screening eligibility. Also, a sigh of relief. Some farmers are breathing a little easier after that snowfall on the weekend. Plus, how an American YouTuber shocked elders in Northern Saskatchewan with their own language.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, March 5th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. The provincial government is making changes, trying to improve care for those left behind with long wait times for breast cancer screening. A host of new services were announced this morning by the Minister of Health. Alexander Kwan brings us the story.
We will continue to strive to provide you with the best care possible as quickly as possible.
Health Minister Everett Hinley calls it a commitment, a promise to improve care for those potentially facing breast cancer in Saskatchewan. The province is opening a breast health centre in Regina and expanding eligibility for screening province-wide. Breast cancer screening has been only open to women who are 50 and older. Today's announcement means that women 40 years and up will be eligible starting January 2025. It's all part of a goal to lower wait times and to stop sending some patients to Calgary for procedures.
And our hope is that this update today will provide reassurance to patients about our level of commitments to healthcare in this province and to this issue in particular.
The cost for all of this is not clear. The health minister says more details will come in the provincial budget later this month, but it is welcome news to one doctor.
Breast care is complex, and these are not simple, straightforward fixes. Though the creation of a breast health centre is only one piece of a larger puzzle to ensuring a better patient experience and improving access to care, this represents a tremendous step forward.
There is already a breast health centre in Saskatoon, and the new facility is set to open here in Regina by March of next year. We know healthcare recruitment has been a challenge, but officials say it's getting better, and that the creation of this specific facility in Regina should improve efforts even more.
To try and recruit them to a city and say, we don't actually have a breast centre, but please come. It makes it very challenging because there's a lot that happens within a breast care centre that really facilitates a physician's role.
The NDP says it has been calling for some of these changes for months. In a statement, health critic Vicky Mowat says she doesn't have faith the government will fix the crisis it created. But the province says its short-term solution to reducing wait times has been successful. 188 patients have been referred to a clinic in Calgary. 131 of those have already undergone diagnostic procedures. So, with the announcement today, the province says they hope that that process never has to happen again. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
A recent trip to Paris by a government cabinet minister was in the spotlight during question period at the legislature today. The opposition says Dustin Duncan and his delegation spent $3,500 on a car service while attending a nuclear conference in November. The NDP also asked about the minister's trip to visit Napoleon's tomb. Duncan says he went to the museum during a break in his schedule and paid his own way.
At our own expense, we did. I did tour the museum, spent an hour touring the museum, had lunch there, and so for the most part, certainly it was a busy tour, a busy couple of days in Paris with a significant number of meetings. But I did have a break in my schedule, and I did go to the museum.
Look, there's no problem with the minister being at a nuclear conference. Given what this government has suggested could be part of the future for Saskatchewan Power's makeup. Nobody's quibbling with that, but there's Uber, there's public transit, there's walking, there's, doing the work that you're there to do, not, again, hiring a private car service to take you around Paris.
Duncan says it was recommended that he and his team take a shuttle van to avoid the unpredictability of public transit in Paris. He says they flew economy and stayed at a hotel outside the central part of the city. Well, snow may have stopped for now, but the problems have not. Saskatoon is still digging out from the blizzard that swept through Saskatchewan this weekend. As Dane Patterson reports, the shoveling continues.
Unlike the sweet treat, this isn't the blizzard people are dreaming about in the lead up to spring. and said this one blanketed the city in up to 40 centimeters of snow in just a couple of days. Kevin Woodrick plowed more than 20 driveways in Saskatoon, sometimes more than once.
Everything that I did Saturday, I had to redo.
At its minimum, the snow has slowed people down in the city. One grocery store told CBC that their delivery drivers are having to walk several blocks to deliver food at some points. Another said that their third party that delivers things like flowers are just refusing orders. Even some Saskatoon police cruisers are getting stuck in the snow, but say that the storm hasn't caused significant change to response times. But the snow is only one issue. Like thunder to lightning, the snow was followed by the cold. Woodrick says the temperature is added to the difficulty of snow clearing.
Keeping the machinery going. How so? It freezes up, and so far it's been working okay.
The mercury dropped to below -30 with even colder wind chills Monday night. That brought more people than usual to the Salvation Army Overnight Warming Center at St. Mary's Parish. And the warming bus intending to help out people before that open couldn't. Too much snow.
I got stuck at the last snowfall last week. Just going down the block, and I had to get a couple people just to help out. And I was planning on last night, but seeing the snow and there's like 4 cars stuck on my street, and I didn't want to risk it.
The city of Saskatoon is set to start plowing residential streets on Thursday or Friday, and services in the city are returning too. The leisure centers are set to open on Wednesday. Dane Patterson, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Meanwhile, farmers in this province are rejoicing at all this snow. We know many producers are dealing with drought, some for many years now. One grain farmer near Watrous says the snow is dropping her stress level.
Yeah, in a matter of 24 hours, I was feeling about, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being high, feeling about a 9 going into this year's crop season with not a lot of moisture and then decreased commodity prices. And right now I'm thinking I'm probably at around a 4, just seeing all this snow and moisture.
But one hydrologist who farms near Saskatoon says not every field will be lucky this spring. He says fall and winter rainfall, along with freezing and thawing, have made the soil surface in many places hard to break through.
This year, going out yesterday, I put the snow tube in and it just hits ice. Over a whole transect, it's just ice, 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 which really is very indicative that our infiltration is going to be significantly compromised this spring. So some will come in, some water will be able to infiltrate, but there's going to be a lot of runoff.
Harder estimates the snow on his farm from this storm melts down to about 40 to 45 millimeters of water, and an average crop needs about 200 to 250 millimeters of water per growing season. But he says some of the snow will turn into that runoff water or evaporate before melting. We're getting a better idea of the cost of last year's drought. Farmers made just over 14,000 crop insurance claims in 2023, about $1.85 billion in payments. With premiums of about $1.1 billion, that means Saskatchewan Crop Insurance Corp lost about $750 million. That number is down from 2021, when extreme drought led to SCIC paying out more than $2.3 billion for annual crops. With another tough growing season expected, the provincial ag minister says they are worried about what's to come.
We are seeing good snow cover in some parts of the province. The southwest obviously is one that, and the west side is one we're concerned about. But it's good to see some snow there, and I know I have talked to some producers that even last week water did flow in some parts of the province. So the moisture is obviously welcome. We'll always take more, but we're hopeful that we're going to see significant moisture increases and improvements in both for cultivated land for putting the crop in, and even more importantly for pastures and filling dugouts again.
Today, the province also announced its estimates for crop insurance premiums for 2024. The average premium is dropping to about $12.17 from $14.79 an acre. And so is the average coverage, to $389 from $446 last year. Merritt says these numbers are set by the federal government and that it's largely due to an average decrease in insured commodity prices. We're trying to get more information about where a proposed emergency shelter might open in Saskatoon. A recent vote by City Council says those shelters must be at least 250 meters away from elementary schools, which limits where they can be located. The bylaw effectively shut down plans for a proposed shelter in Sutherland. The proposed 30-space permanent emergency shelter for people with complex needs was supposed to be running by spring. The city's now looking for an alternate space. Mayor Charlie Clark was one of 2 councillors who voted against the bylaw.
Now to have to go back to the drawing board is going to delay the process of getting badly needed shelters in place. And it's very hard to find those locations right now.
My suggestion would be to ensure that wherever the shelter is located, it's near services and programs that the users of the shelter would need. Also to ensure that it's on very well serviced transit routes so the users can get to and from the shelter, and well-lit streets for safety of the users of the shelter.
Hill says an area sandwiched between the Travelodge Hotel and train tracks south of Avenue C might be a good light industrial area where it could be located. The city is yet to determine a possible location for the proposed space. Well, with March break travel just around the corner, health officials are bracing for a rise in measles cases. Reported cases this year have already exceeded the dozen reported in all of last year. 17 cases have been confirmed between Quebec, Ontario, Saskatchewan, and BC. More than half of new infections are in the Montreal area and involve children. There are a handful of cases in Ontario and 1 each in Saskatchewan and BC. Infectious disease specialists say a small number of measles cases can escalate to widespread infections, as it has in Europe, where it has affected thousands of people. A rough couple of moments for Real and the Brand Centre this morning as they continue to host the Montana's Brier. They had to stop play for about 15 minutes because condensation from a pipe was dripping onto the ice. But it was, however, a great day for Team Saskatchewan. After their first loss last night to Nova Scotia, McEwen Saskatoon-based rink bounced back to beat Alberta 11-6. That leaves Saskatchewan at 4-1. They'll take on the Northwest Territories, who have the same record, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in the 13th draw. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. It is Super Tuesday in the United States. Voters in 16 states and territories will choose who they want to run for president in the November election. Right now, it's shaping up to be a rematch of 2020 between Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
I voted for Joe Biden on the Democratic ticket, and because I think we need a leader who is not involved in any corruption.
I think, like most people, that Biden's too old and Trump's a little too crazy.
The voting is spread right across the United States and all the way to American Samoa in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Millions are casting their ballots. On the Democratic side, Joe Biden's march to renomination looks all but assured. While Donald Trump is the clear leader in the Republican contest, his only major rival, Nikki Haley, has just 1 win in the 10 primaries and caucuses so far.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. It's March. It's madness.
Super Tuesday in the States, super cold Tuesday in Saskatchewan. Our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now. Are we almost through the cold snap?
We are very close, yes. Thankfully, extreme cold warnings have come to an end, but when they were in effect, we had some very frigid temperatures to start the day, particularly through west central Saskatchewan. These are temperatures that are about 20 degrees below normal when we talk about overnight lows for this time of year. Into the minus 30s for Saskatoon, the Battlefords, Lloydminster. Wind chills, making it feel like minus 45 at times. That's a frigid start, and we're still looking at temperatures sitting much below normal in some parts of the province this evening. As we head into south and central, you'll see a couple of us have now dropped down to around minus 20. That's in Yorkton and Wynyard. Still a little bit warmer out to the west, but not by very much. Minus 10 at Maple Creek. That is indeed below normal for this time of year. And wind chills tonight likely going to be around minus 30 or feeling like minus 30 through central Saskatchewan. We're getting close there now, feeling closer to minus 40 in the far north. north. That is still a ways away, though, from extreme cold warning criteria there. The other story that we're watching here is the cold eventually starts to go away is our next weather maker, and it's coming up from the States. It's already bringing in some cloudiness through much of southern and central Saskatchewan. Saskatoon starting to see that cloud build in now, and a little bit of some snow that's been lingering in the southwest will translate into a little bit of some more moderate snow as we head through the early morning hours tomorrow along the Trans-Canada corridor around Swift Current. The system starts to primarily affect southeastern Saskatchewan as we get into tomorrow around the noon hour. Parts of south and central going to see some snow, maybe around the Regina area, maybe as far north as Saskatoon, but we have some pretty dry air in the form of an area of high pressure moving in that could push this system a bit further south. I think generally it's going to be Manitoba that sees the heaviest amounts of snow from this system, and then some clearing and a little bit of cloud cover as we head into the rest of the work week. So a couple to 3 centimeters in the southwest as that moves through overnight tonight. And these amounts might be a little bit on the heavy side for the southeast, but maybe topping out around 5 centimeters in places like Moosomin and Estevan. But the good news is we're not expecting winds to pick up all that much. So unlike the last system, we're not going to see really any challenges likely with visibility as that system moves through. So for Regina, I put about 2 to 4 centimeters at most as that system moves through primarily tomorrow afternoon. We'll stay at -11 for Thursday, but then a quick warm up, very significant as we head into the beginning of next week. Keep in mind these temperatures may be hampered a bit by the fact that there's now quite a bit of snow on the ground, but nonetheless I think we will start to see some clearing skies. For Saskatoon, system may not quite get as north as you folks, maybe a centimeter or two there. I'll put 60% chance of snow for you for now, and a similar warm up there too with some sunshine. But of course, Sam, we don't want things to warm up too quickly. We don't want that melt to come too fast.
We need to march to keep marching.
Yeah, we need consistency here.
Yes, thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. A YouTuber from New York caused quite a stir when he came to Loon Lake last month. In a good way. Cree elders were surprised and confused when he started speaking to them in their language. Ari Smith can communicate in about 50 languages and has more than 6 million YouTube followers.
His brother. Really? Yeah. Snamagosian Nehiwan Absis. Absis, yeah.
For me, it's just very gratifying to be able to like do what I do while at the same time helping preserve their language and culture in whatever small way.
Hey, nice to meet you, man.
Learn Cree.
Yeah.
We had this language program that we just launched called repeataftermecree.com. How do I promote this? How could I get it out there? Seeing like he spoke all kinds of languages. Since he's learning indigenous languages and helping promote it, I thought it'd be a good idea just to reach out to his YouTube channel. I'll just kind of shoot my shot and see what happens. And if not, that's fine. He's probably a busy guy. A week later, I get a reply through my email saying that he was interested in my concept. And then it went really quickly after that. It was amazing, to have a guy like that be willing to come in, learn our language and promote it to his audience of millions of people that he has following him in terms of language.
I mean, I've done this now with, indigenous communities across North and South America as well. It's a beautiful experience every time, but this time in particular was really special because I had Patrick there to kind of guide me and, take me around. And
the elders didn't really know why they were gathering there, right? They just knew that something was happening. And so I had to explain to them that we had a special guest over, that he was helping to promote our language, our culture.
The elders at first were kind of like, who is this weirdo with the camera? Like they were like, what is this guy? And then when I started speaking Cree, they were kind of like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
So they had a conversation back and forth. We talked about, how do we reach our young generation? And, when you do it through platforms like YouTube or TikTok or Facebook, right? This is a way to connect with them where they're at.
Oh, yeah.
But it turns out that there is actually a group of people for whom what I do turns out to actually have some value, and that's Indigenous people across North America whose languages are endangered and in many cases dying.
And by him doing so, he's this embodiment of a person that says, hey, you're wrong. You know, like anyone could learn the language. I learned the language and I'm speaking the language.
Thank you for agreeing to come and visit our community. So the elders that you can speak our language.
The comments that I've seen from his videos, from his shorts and reels that he did from this content, I see a lot of the young Indigenous, not just young, but even older crowds saying, man, if he could learn, I could learn.
This makes me wish that I could say this next part in Cree. It's just impressive, but instead, Ethan, what's left with the weather?
Yeah, not so inspiring in terms of temperatures here overnight tonight in Regina. Well, not too bad. We'll be at -17, a wind chill around -25. As we get into tomorrow, though, looking for some scattered flurries starting around 8 a.m. Again, a wind chill around -24. Snow likely going to start getting going if it gets into our area a little bit later in the afternoon, but likely some flurries around the noon hour. Colder in Saskatoon, down to -23 at midnight again. Wind chill likely going to still be below -30 and close to that even as we get into the morning hours. Just a chance of flurries by the morning, and then if we do see those reach the Saskatoon area, they'll be starting around the noon hour. But nothing like the snowmageddon of a couple of days ago, Sam.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And before we go tonight, a couple from La Ronge has their hands full after welcoming quadruplets. And if having 4 babies wasn't enough, they had them February 29th. As you can imagine, Leap Day quadruplets are incredibly rare. Savannah Ratt and Gilbert Morasti are still at Jim Pattison's Children's Hospital in Saskatoon, where the babies are receiving care in the neonatal unit.
Once in a lifetime thing, you know what I mean? Like trying to visit one kid, but then you got to jump to another one, and you're not like, you know what I mean? Just trying to put your attention equally amongst the 4.
You had quadruplets on leap year.
Oh, it's crazy. I can't even express how crazy it feels to have like that many kids. I already have a couple as it is, and then for them to be, you know what I mean, 4 more. Altogether this year, these are 9. She has 2 prior, I have 2 prior, and then we have a son together, and then these 4, so.
Was Savannah here in Saskatoon, or?
Yeah, she was here. She has to stay close to the hospital because there's obviously quadruplets, right? So she had to stay close to the hospital. And she called me, I need you home right now. And I just started freaking out, didn't know what to do. So
I know they were a bit premature.
Yeah, this was the 29th. I drove 9.5 hours from work. Made it here. There's a snowstorm.
And you made it on time?
No, unfortunately I missed it.
How are the kids?
They're good. They're hooked up to breathing tubes still, but everything is going good. One had to get a blood transfusion because their wasn't doing too good, I guess, or whatever. And then 2 of them had jaundice, but then yeah, they're doing good.
Can you tell me their names?
Yeah, sure. Baby A is Aaliyah. Baby B is Beautiful. Baby C is Cecilia, and baby D is Dominic. They're all Morastis.
Wow, and how's Savannah doing?
She's doing really well. She's up and walking around and high spirits. So, you know, we'll be staying in the hospital. They'll be here till May or something like that. So we'll be around for a while. You won't be able to do it by yourself, so I'll have to help 100%.
A big congratulations to them, and thanks to Scott Larson for that story. And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to our website, you can subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel, or download the CBC News app. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.